Hello and welcome, whether you're with me live or welcome, whether you're watching me on the recording, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Sarah Evans. I'm based in Sheffield in Northern England, UK, and I am quite a few things these days, but I'm a Akashic Records reader and a Reiki master. And in this session today, well, first of all, I am absolutely delighted to be asked again to take part in a Learnitlive consortium. And this is the Spring Unshakeable consortium. So I was delighted to be asked, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the Learnitlive community. I've been teaching on Learnitlive I titled it Calming the Chaos, a channel session from the Akashic Records. Okay, so I am going to be channeling from my Akashic Records. And so just very briefly mention what are the Akashic Records? It is a database, if you will, a compendium, a powerful resource of information, which actually sits in the quantum space. And by accessing the Akashic Records, which everybody has your own Akashic Records, and Akashic Library, which is a informational database of everything of your soul's journey across all lifetimes and timelines. Okay. And so it is an amazingly intense resource. There's people on the chat that have had private sessions with me and they can speak to this in the chat. But it is a hugely powerful resource to really drill through and gain insights from all that is, from your spirit guides, your loved ones in spirit. Frankly, I feel like anything is possible via the Akashic reading, via the Akashic records. All right, and so today's session, I am actually already in my Akashic records, and so I'll be giving a channeled message from the Akasha on the theme of how to calm the chaos, how to find inner peace despite external confusion. All right, which I'm sure wherever you're located in the world, whatever you're personally going through, there's probably at least some element of feeling like this message might be useful to you. Okay. And so just before I get started, I'll just share in the chat some links about me. So I did do a prior session, I think back in November at the last Learnitlive Consortium, where I gave an in-depth webinar talking about my own spiritual awakening, what led me to the Akashic Records, and how I found that I am an Akashic Records reader, and how I actually have a past life as an Akashic Record keeper. So I have a a feline Lyran alter ego, if you will, who is sitting in the Akashic Records and assists me with this work as a keeper. And also, so I do monthly Reiki healings on Learnitlive, and the last one just took place last Thursday. So actually attending this is a twofer because you have the link to access the full 1 hour remote Reiki healing that I did last week. Amazing. And then just additionally, then I'm just putting in the chat some information about how to find out about me and how to book a session, a one-to-one session, if you would like to have an Akashic Records reading, accessing your own Akashic Records and asking personal questions. All right. I do a lot of spiritual wellness work and I have a mentorship program. There's actually an opening happening on the 20th of April onwards. So if you'd like to book a discovery call for that, the link is in the chat. And additionally, I have just launched a special soul exploration activation package, which is a 25% discounted rate in order to have 3 sessions. So it's a package booking 3 sessions, 3 hour-long sessions, working with me in your Akashic Records. And it's just a really great way to dive in, find information, and then also work through the information. It's actually coming off the back. I did a Black Friday deal last November where I offered a 3 for 2, and that was wildly popular. And I also found that through that, I found that 3 sessions is actually a really powerful and useful amount. So I wanted to support that and offer that. So if you feel a calling, if you feel the pull towards learning more from this work, then links are in the chat or in the show notes. Okay, so before we get started then, did I mention about the Q&A? We're going to be doing a channel message and then I'm going to be taking audience questions from the live audience members. And so if you want to pose a question, I just ask you to pose questions that are more universal in nature, not something really specific and detailed to you personally, please. Although, of course, the Akashic Records have a knack at probably giving you a very targeted, very personal response, but it's just something that appeals to everybody listening, it's something that's going to be useful for everybody. All right. Okay, so before I opened my records and before I got started today, I did pull some cards to just see what was, most useful to come through, what like to help me give a bit of a flavor of the reading to come forth today on the topic of chaos and finding calm. So firstly, I from my goddess oracle deck, I received this card, which is Baba Yaga. Bhagavad Yaga, which is the wild woman. Okay, and so this card is very women that run with wolves themed. It's very about the wildness of the divine feminine, about reaching in and almost like enjoying the chaos and finding your inner rage and finding your inner power and stirring up that energy. So it's kind of like, let's read quickly from the book. It says, Baba Yaga flies into your life in her mortar to help you nurture wholeness by getting in touch with your wild woman. Is it time to reconnect with the natural, the primal, the instinctual? It is time to shake out your hair, your body, and you shake up your life. Okay? Have you banished your wild woman to the dungeon? Have you chained her, muzzled her, caged her? Free her. You need her. You need her. The wild woman is part of your joy, part of your vitality, part of your creativity. All right. So, yeah, take of that whatever you will. But I pulled a few cards also from my 5D, what I call it my 5D, my five dimensional consciousness deck. But technically, it's called Golden Futures by Diane Cooper. So I was asking some more like, what do people need at this time to connect to your inner calm, inner joy, despite it all? The first one I got was music. So enjoy music. It's not just a distraction. Music is an elevator. It changes your frequency. It raises your vibration. Enjoy the music. Whatever music is most joyful and enjoyable to you, choose that. It's a really powerful, useful, helpful tool. I personally love healing frequencies music. I use a lot of crystal singing bowls in my Reiki sessions. If that's something that engages you, great. Try some of that. Okay. I also got leisure and sport. Leisure and sport. This is about finding, it says participate and have fun. Okay. Find your inner fun, find your inner joy, find what fuels you and keeps you going, okay? That's going to help you in this time. All right, and then lastly, I got works satisfaction. So all these cards, whether it's music, sports, art, what are all these? It's really about your leisure time, right? About enjoying your leisure time and going to your interests, reaching for the things that fuel you, that help you, that support you, whatever they are. Enjoy your creativity, engage with music, reach out for nature. All right, those are the cards that came up today. Oops, that is not the monitor. All right, welcome to those joining. I am an Akashic Record reader, and now we're going to see what the Akash has got to bring forth. Okay. So if everyone just take a nice deep breath, steadying the ship, inviting through what's for the highest good of the collective, of those listening live, those listening on the recording, asking my Akashic Records, my spirit guides, and loved ones in spirit, what most needs to be brought forth at this time. They're saying welcome and greetings all. They're saying we're so delighted to have you here. Whether it's your very first time encountering this opportunity to connect with all that is, with universal energy through the great compendium and space that is the Akashic Records, or if it says your 1000th time, or 10,000th time in the case of Sarah, it is for you just the same. So we'd like to first describe to you what are the Akashic Records. It's really about connecting to the ethers. It's like your soul's blueprint, your soul's journey, the expansiveness. Many of you listening already are aware that you're much more than just yourself in this one lifetime. Even if you are not quite connected or tapped in to other lifetimes just yet, you have a sense, an inner knowing that there's much more than just this deeply. So we want to confirm that for you, for anybody who needs that message. And this topic today is on calming the chaos. But we also want listeners to know one other thing, and that is, despite how this might sound to some, you chose to be here. You chose to be here at this time, at this very intense and also very wonderful time in the history of planet Earth and the history of human consciousness, the human collective. You chose this. Let's just sit with that a moment. You chose this journey. It wasn't you as yourself here, Kim, Anna, Sarah, Todd. It was you, your soul, your higher self, your essence of you as the complete you that chose to be here and experience what planet Earth has got going on, what her teachings are. And we want to thank you for your service because this is a difficult mission at this time. We often say that it is the most courageous souls that choose to incarnate on planet Earth. And this is true. And to add to that, it is 100% the most courageous, the most brave, the most powerful souls that chose to incarnate for this moment in time. And why is this? Why is there so much chaos right now? Why do things feel so dramatic, so changing? So many of you listening know about the activation, the uplift, the rise in the collective consciousness of this era. There is a huge spiritual awakening unfolding at this time. And maybe you woke up yesterday. Maybe you were called to click on this link to watch this session to find out what this seems interesting. What is this? Or maybe you are much further in your awakening journey, but there's a mass awakening, a mass rising of consciousness, and a progression towards greater unity consciousness unfolding on planet Earth. And whilst this is happening, whilst the 3D Earth, The earth has been 3D for so long in three-dimensional consciousness, and it grew into fourth dimensional consciousness, the consciousness of love, of unity, of Christ consciousness. And again, it expanding one more time into 5D, fifth dimensional consciousness. And for some of you, this is nothing new, and for some of you, this may be new. But as we are expanding into five-dimensional consciousness, that creates some turmoil. And there are those on planet Earth that wish to not activate, to not grow, to not evolve in this way. And so, whilst this is happening, there is a tug of war going on between those that are awakening, that those who are moving in this direction of the spiritual, in favor of love and universal love. And then there are those that wish to remain in a denser, fear-based, denser consciousness. So a lot of this message today is to explain, okay, and to see it from the perspective, the higher up, greater perspective of all that is, which, by the way, is the perspective which your higher self is sitting at, and your loved ones in spirit are sitting at that perspective where they can see this from a higher up level. And that kind of helps to explain things, but it also doesn't exactly necessarily help you as you're on the ground right now. So in this channel message today, which Sarah is bringing forth, we want to give you some more additional tools for being unshakable despite it all, by feeling inner calm despite the chaotic scenes unfolding. So how can we do this? Sarah's already pulled some cards introducing you to different distraction techniques, if you will, of music, of sport, of play, of painting. And these are all very, very valid. Because we invite you, whilst things seem to be rapidly evolving in productive and often unproductive ways at a larger scale, think about what you can control, what you do have control over. And there's something to be said that from consciousness, we are experiencing faster and more intense ability to create, to co-create our own reality and consciousness. But for this message today, we want to invite you to really focus on the world right in front of your face, the world of your own household, the world of your closest friends, closest family members, the community, your direct neighborhood. Because whilst things are rapidly evolving, and they are, it's so important to ground down and focus on the things that you can control, the calm and peace of your household, the love that you give to your friends and family, to your children, to your loved ones. This is the way to stay calm, to stay in the present moment. The present is a present, is a gift. And by staying in the present moment, by not being too worried, not being too anxious about the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Focus on the now. And by the now, we mean listening to your breath. Be here now of your direct vicinity, the day unfolding for you, whatever that is. And in your here now, in your present, in your direct space, in your direct neighborhood, what can you do? What inspired action can you take to engage in higher emotions of contentment? Sure. Serenity, yes, but also joy. How can you find joy in the everyday? What brings you the most joy? Do that. Do that. Do that. Thank you for listening, and we'll open up for questions. Okay. I'm not sure how long I was channeling that message, but I am back. And we're going to start looking at the questions coming in. Thank you, Millie. So, first question is, are those of us who are aware that we've lived many lives and are aware of the bigger picture less likely to be conventionally successful in this particular life at this particular time? Okay, let's see what comes forth. For those that are aware about many lifetimes, the bigger picture, they're more likely, less likely to be conventionally successful. They're saying no. The answer to that is no. But they're saying they're aware of what you mean. Because those of you that are old souls, quote unquote, in the human definition, that have had many, many lifetimes, many of you old souls are here to play an important role in this transitional time. And many old souls, quote unquote, we don't really love this term, but many old souls are here to help and also here to really engage in the density and the complexity of the human experience. In this category falls many people who have been given difficult challenges in their early years, maybe experience unpleasant childhoods, traumatic experiences early on, challenges with complex health issues, maybe challenges with experiencing poverty, difficulties in finding work, and other difficult experiences. And there's a reason for this, and we did talk about it in the initial message that you're very ambitious and brave souls choose a lot to experience in their lifetime. Some of you took on so much in the life planning session that the guides that, in fact, there's a guide here who, Grace, who takes part in helping people with life planning sessions. Grace is saying she often counsels people to take on less. Like she says, really, do you have to do all these things? And she says the soul is often, yes, bring it on. I want to try everything. I want to engage everything. It's Grace. So with this in mind, there's many of you that have had experiences and challenging lives. And it's because of this dynamic. But at the same time, people that fall into this bracket, you're here for a reason. You're here to hold the light, to hold the light. There's many angelic presences that have incarnated onto planet Earth for this time. There's many multi-dimensional entities that have taken on human lifetimes for this time. Many, many angelic and multi-dimensional entities are here. Sometimes they're called starseeds. You're here for a reason. You're here for a reason. You're here to anchor in the light, to assist with the collective, and this can take many forms. But coming back to your initial question, no, it does not mean you have to have a harder life, but you can choose if you want it to become easier. You can choose to add more greater ease. And as we ascend, as we progress into five-dimensional consciousness across the collective, we can create the lives that we wish we were living. And so, absolutely, don't sit in a victim place. Oh, is this happening to me? Oh, there's nothing I can do. No, there's many things that you can do. Thank you for the question. All right. See ya. Okay, Mary, thank you. How can we feel more peace when the chaos feels overwhelming? Any practical steps to ground ourselves in the calm? Palmer. Okay. Asking, how can we feel more peace when the chaos feels overwhelming? They're making me feel a pressure in the spine, down the back here. I feel like a spinal activation. Let's see. So they're acknowledging that it can feel overwhelming at this time. There's so much happening and it can feel overwhelming. When you're feeling overwhelmed, it is your body and your mental body urging you to do less. Those chaotic scenes unfolding on your TV screens, in your news, on social media. But you can choose how much you open yourself up to, how much news, how much chaos you invite in. You can have firmer boundaries. It doesn't make you less than if you don't know every current affair, unfolding event. It doesn't make you less safe if you're not aware, if you're not connected in with every development. Because the people who are causing this chaos, they want you to feel overwhelmed. This is part of their plan. And instead of letting them win, instead of letting them overwhelm your senses into shutdown, into numbness, into disengagement from your moral core and core of ethics, your inner knowing, your gut feeling, do not allow that. You need firmer boundaries. Protect yourself, protect your energy. Stay off the news. Have a digital detox. It will really help you. The overwhelm, we promise you, is all external. Internally, you can find your inner calm. Thank you. All right, time going. Thank you. The next question is define chaos. Short and sweet. Okay, define chaos. They're showing me an imagery of fire. I'm seeing volcanoes, forest fires, houses on fire. 1 second. They're showing me smoke plumes coming off that fire. They're telling me that fire, the fire element, is a great metaphor for explaining chaos. Because what is fire? It is innately chaotic. Fire helps to change matter, just change states. to sear things to the ground in rapid effect. And from our perspective, chaos is a change maker. Chaos and the chaotic is a world outside of rules, a world outside of logic, where things do not follow what you hope or contend that they should do. The chaotic is outside of control, or seemingly so. As a wildfire breaks out across a forest and burns many trees, it rapidly changes the landscape, does it not? Fire blows in directions from the wind. Fire can be stopped by removing the fuel. Chaos is often the same. Chaos is the lack of order, the lack of reason. So when we describe calming the chaos, we're describing a containment of this sort of energy, which is so important in this year, 2026, the year of the fire horse. Don't get burnt by the fire. I hope this helps. All right. Hope this is useful, guys. Why is it that some of us had to suffer so much trauma when it feels so unfair? And what does it mean, if anything, for our overall life journey? What does it mean that some of us have to suffer so much trauma? Feels unfair. They're acknowledging that it does feel unfair, does it not? Your loved ones in spirit sit with you and hold your hand and acknowledge that sense of unfairness, that sense of nothing goes my way. Why me? Many of those that have led to the spiritual path have experienced great trauma and great suffering. In part, it is an experience of the 3D earth. Buddha shared that all life is suffering, that suffering is inevitable. And that has been a part of the paradigm on earth for many, many centuries. But there is a shift. The shift has come. They're showing me about the teachings of Buddha and how in the Buddhist principles out, they're showing me the lotus flower growing in the mud and how out of mud, out of difficulty, out of challenge, grows the most beautiful bloom. They're advising to connect in with maybe some Buddhist practices, the Tonglen practice to relieve suffering may be useful for you, which is to breathe in and engage with what you're suffering from, and on the out breath to give the antidote, breathing in anxiety, breathing out release, breathing in pain, breathing out relief, and so on. I hope this is helpful. Obviously, this is a universal session in my own Akashic Records, so if you want to ask specific questions about of a personal nature about you, then it might be useful to have a private reading to go into your own Akashic Records some more. I'm sure there's a lot more that could be said on this topic. All right. Okay, so I've got a question here. When will we come into the monetary gifts that are foreseen, so we may grow the healing of others and ourselves? When? Question is asking years, months. Will we come into monetary gifts that we may grow the healing of ourselves and others? They're saying, did you know that money is actually energy? The frequency of money, of abundance, is a frequency of energy and energy exchange. In order to be more abundant, experience greater levels of abundance on a material wealth perspective, first you need to overcome any blocks you have, any energetic blockages to accepting and holding that frequency. Money is a frequency. Wealth is a frequency. Those that struggle in this area are often blocking the blessings by having a difficult relationship with the energy of money. Ask yourself, do you criticize others when you see them in a flashy car? Do you feel envious, jealous of others? Do you feel deep down that you don't deserve to be financially comfortable? These are the sort of blockages that need to be released in order to receive greater levels of energy exchange and abundance. Additionally, it is an exchange. The frequency of money likes to flow. It likes to flow like a river, like water. It doesn't enjoy being contained. So see if you can allow a little more flow in this. It can be on a very superficial level. You can also set intentions over this. Thank you. Okay. I would say an intention that I love in this topic is every time I spend something, I give the intention that everything I spend comes back to me times 5. Okay. So I'm buying a new pair of shoes for my daughter. It's £50. I'm spending this money, but I'm setting intention that it comes back to me and £250 comes back to me somehow. Experiment with that. It works. Okay, guys, let's see. So we've got 9 minutes left. Okay. Interesting comments here. I'm not going to read them out. Looks like I could have used some moderation in this. Okay. So maybe we'll have one more question. Do all of us have the power to transcend a kind of fate, or is everything set in stone the moment we come into being? Okay. Fate. You have the power to transcend a kind of fate, or is everything set in stone? Beginning. You're saying yes and no. So when you come into a lifetime, you have a soul contract and you have life lessons that you hope to learn in this lifetime. And we try very hard to not steer people off the path of the life lessons that they have come into this lifetime in order to learn. However, you do still have free will. For example, there is the example of astrology, that you have chosen to be born at a certain moment, and there's various principles and various fates that come up from the position of the planets and stars at the moment that you were born and what that means for you. And then there's transits that pass you and yada yada blah blah. So, yes, that's true that this happens, but at the same time, you have the free will. You can be influenced by planetary transits, but you have the free will to make choices for yourself in any of those moments. You also have the free will to disconnect from soul contracts that you find are not helping you, that you do not enjoy. It's your lifetime. You have the choice, you have the power in order to do that. You are much more powerful than you give yourself credit for, and that the society, the social conditioning has taught you to believe. You're far more powerful than that, and you can make these choices, heal yourself, and move forward. So, yes, we are given certain experiences to enjoy, and certain things feel fated. But really, it's an opening. Experience it like an opening and unraveling. And when you're on your path, when you're on the path of heart and engaging and learning the life lessons that you set out to, you can experience very high levels of bliss and ease. If things feel very not easy, if you feel like you're hitting blocks, hitting walls everywhere you turn, there's a reason for that. The universe is not subtle in showing you when you are off your life path, when you're off the life lessons that you're here to learn. But there's always a chance to course correct. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. This has been an interesting session. I'll just take a moment to say that it is a really challenging time, and everybody has their personal challenges. And then we have challenges thrust upon us. But I send so much compassion and love and care out to each and every one of you, whether you're here with me live or you're watching on the recording at a later time. Bye for now.